When Jake Miller left me, he said it was for my own good. "You deserve someone who will take you to the future, not hold you in the past," he said, in that calm, calculating voice I used to love. I remember how his words felt so logical. He was ambitious, a financial analyst with the world at his feet in New York City. I, Maya Torres, a graphic designer, a dreamer, and maybe, as he implied, too small for his grand plans. He wanted to climb the ladder, the power, that cold, shiny gleam that only wealth can bring. And I, in my simplicity, was just dead weight, a reminder of where he came from, a past he desperately wanted to forget. I supported him through everything, every late night, every final report, every goal he hit. I was his safe harbor, the solid ground from which he could launch himself to the top. But he didn't want a safe harbor. He wanted a stepping stone, and he found that stepping stone in a girl he met at a company event, Chloe Sterling. Blonde, glamorous, with the air of someone who never had to fight for anything. The CEO's daughter, the shortcut to everything he desired. I watched him change. The flannel shirts turned into Italian suits. Dinners at home became reservations at restaurants I couldn't afford. He wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking right through me, at what I wasn't. And on the day he finally left, there was no anger. There was pity. He thought he was freeing me for a better destiny, one that was my size. He had no idea what I was hiding. A family secret. A story he'd never be a part of because he never bothered to dig deep enough to truly know me. He had no idea who I really was. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you stories like this. He went on to marry what he considered the perfect woman, the heiress, the prize. But he had no idea what I was holding. A secret. A secret that was about to explode and expose the truth behind his biggest gamble. And he was about to pay a price he never saw coming. He got everything he wanted. Jake's life became a movie. He left our small Brooklyn apartment for a luxury condo in Manhattan. Our homemade meals became 3-star Michelin restaurant reservations. I saw the pictures, saw Chloe's forced smile and the gleam in his eyes, the gleam of conquest. He was on top of the world. And for a while, it seemed he truly was invincible. Jake got promoted. He became the darling of the board, the son-in-law his boss seemed to tolerate, and even more, a future partner in the family business. He bragged about it, bragged about making the right choice, about leaving me behind, about taking the social elevator. He had no idea that elevator didn't go as far as he thought. I, on the other hand, went into hiding. I dove into my work. I let the pain of being abandoned turn into a kind of creative energy. Hours on end in front of my computer, sleepless nights, sketches in my notebooks. I used his spite as fuel for my art, for my career. While he was spending money on expensive watches and cars, I was investing in courses, in software, in myself. Beyond my passion for design, I enrolled in finance and business administration classes, studying at night at one of New York's top universities, all in secret. People would ask me how I was doing. I would say I was fine, and I was, in the sense that I wasn't the same person anymore. The Maya he left behind was vulnerable. The one that was left was a machine focused on the future. I never reached out, never texted, never answered a call. I simply vanished. To him, I was a turned page. To me, he was the preface to something bigger. I knew he was flying too high. People like Jake always underestimate those who stay on the ground. They think that because they're up high, they don't have to look down. They don't understand that sometimes the one on solid ground has the best view of what's coming. The fall. His fall would be slow, and I would be right here, with a front row seat. I just didn't know how close. Jake's glamorous life started to show its cracks. Slowly. Chloe wasn't the partner he imagined. She was a force of nature, yes, but a destructive one. Her life was an eternal quest for validation, for an attention her own father couldn't even give her. And he, Jake, was just a pawn in her power game, an accessory, and he hated it. His arrogance blinded him, but reality was starting to set in. Chloe's money was a constant source of friction. She spent without limits, demanded that Jake keep up, and nitpicked him for every detail. Mr. Sterling, for his part, maintained a professional distance. Jake would visit him at the company, thinking their personal connection would secure his spot at the top. But Mr. Sterling was a businessman, not a family man. He saw Jake's greed and kept an invisible wall between them. There was no approval, just a cold calculation of how much Jake was worth to the company. Meanwhile, rumors at the company grew. A silent financial crisis. Several key projects failed, profits dropped, and tension spread through the halls. The company's name, which once seemed untouchable, was now whispered with uncertainty. Jake, consumed by his own ambition, desperately tried to get privileged information. He believed that if he knew what was happening, he could position himself as the savior. But Mr. Sterling was a bottomless pit of secrets, and Jake was just a small fish trying to understand the ocean. With each passing day, Jake's mask slipped a little more. The confident man I knew was becoming anxious, frustrated, and, deep down, desperate. He was on top, yes, but he was on top of a sandcastle that, at any moment, could be washed away by a wave that neither he nor Chloe could see coming. A wave with my name on it, and it was getting closer. The email arrived suddenly, a summons to an emergency meeting on the top floor. Only the directors and the most trusted. And, to his delight, Jake's name was on the list. He felt he was finally about to be crowned, the moment he had been waiting for. He put on his best suit, fixed his hair, and walked into the conference room with a smirk of superiority. Chloe accompanied him. Victory seemed so close. Inside, the air was heavy. Mr. Sterling sat at the head of the table, his expression tired, but his eyes as sharp as ever. He started talking about the crisis, about strategic mistakes, and about his own health. His voice was low, but every word carried weight. He said that due to his illness, he would have to step down. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Jake, the unofficial heir. He could taste victory. And then Mr. Sterling continued. I believe the only way to save this company is with new leadership. Leadership that understands our vision, but also brings a new perspective. That's why, with my blessing, from today on, the new CEO of Sterling Enterprises will be... It was as if the floor had disappeared. The door opened, and there I was. Not the Maya in a hoodie, but the Maya in an elegant suit, with the posture of someone who commands, not who obeys. The calm in my eyes met the disbelief in Jake's. He was pale. The whispers in the room turned into total silence. He stared at me, and I stared at him. For the first time since he left, he truly saw me. And in that moment, I saw the truth in his eyes, a mix of shock, humiliation, and the terrible realization of the mistake he had made. The game was over. And he had lost everything. The shock in the conference room turned into an uncomfortable silence. Mr. Sterling introduced me to everyone with a calm demeanor that only experience can give. I nodded, a professional smile on my face as I watched Jake's world crumble. He tried to get close to me with that look of someone who is trapped. He wanted to talk, to explain, but I turned to the board, ignoring him completely. It wasn't revenge. It was just the new reality. The following weeks were a living hell for him. Chloe, furious at being tricked and passed over by her sister, exploded. They got into an epic fight that echoed through the hallways. She accused him of being a loser, of not seeing what was right in front of his face. He, in turn, accused her of being the reason for his failure. Their relationship, which was never based on love, ended dramatically. Jake, desperate, tried to reach me. He texted. He called my office. One afternoon, he appeared in my office, his face pale. Maya, please, listen to me. We can start over. I didn't know. he pleaded. I looked at him. There was no hatred in me. There was only professional coldness. Jake, the only thing we have in common now is my role as your CEO, I replied. You report to your supervisor, like everyone else, and I'm telling you, your performance needs to improve. The company, under my leadership, began to recover. Thanks to my night classes and the confidential access I had to the company's internal reports, I knew exactly where Mr. Sterling had gone wrong, and I knew how to fix it. The people in the company who once buttered up Jake now avoided him. He was demoted. His projects were handed over to others. He was no longer the golden boy. He was just another employee. And the worst part for him wasn't the loss, but my constant presence, a living reminder of everything he sacrificed for an illusion. He traded an heiress for a facade, and now he was just the facade of a man. His fall was a show, and I was the audience. The price of Jake's ambition was ruin. He lost his job, his fiancée, and his credibility. The life of luxury he so desperately sought collapsed faster than he could even process. His arrogance left him completely alone. He went from a brilliant future to a forgotten past, a shadow of his former self. I saw him one last time, from a distance. He was sitting on a park bench on a cold afternoon, looking at the skyscrapers he thought he would conquer. That athletic, well-dressed man now seemed small, fragile. The blue eyes, once so full of ambition, were empty. He watched people pass by, no longer a part of the motion. Meanwhile, I was on the top floor of my building, with a view of the same city he was looking at. But for me, the city wasn't a power game. It was a promise. The business I was now leading was thriving. I was surrounded by people who respected me for my competence, not for my name. Not for who I was, but for who I had become. I didn't seek him out for revenge. His revenge was my absence. The fact that I had forgiven him, not for his sake, but for mine. The fact that I moved on and built something great, something real. He traded love for greed and lost everything. I traded pain for purpose, and I found my place in the world. Our story isn't about money or power. It's about who you choose to be when no one is watching. It's about the cost of sacrificing the truth for a lie. Jake made his choice, and now he lives with the consequences. If this story moved you, please comment with the word forgiveness. Tell me where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know how far our stories are reaching.